Hey there, folks. Chris McLean back with another episode and bringing another double header to the show today. We've got the Toholsky Brothers, Joshua and Aaron, in the studio, and they run Holsky Media, which is a digital marketing agency providing solutions in social media, photo and video content, lead gen, conversion, and SaaS. The target markets small and mid-sized businesses in both brick and mortar locations, as well as e-com. And that's probably an interesting conversation around that transition that's happening, right, from bricks and mortar into the e-com space. Josh, Aaron, thanks so much for swinging by, guys. Great to have you here.
Thanks, Chris. Glad to be here.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, we're glad. We're excited, man.
No, pleasure. It's always good when we get a few people on the show and get to have a bit of a Brady Bunch effect going on the screen here. It's always interesting.
Yeah.
So take us through. Obviously, you guys are brothers. How did Holsky Media start? What was was there a precursor to the agency? How did you guys get going?
Yeah. So late 2020, we kind of I want to say we kind of fell into it. I mean, we were both working on our own thing. We both have kind of different backgrounds, and Aaron, my brother Aaron, approached me. I think he sent me a text message, and he was just like, "Hey, do you want to start doing like some digital marketing stuff?" And I kind of was already thinking about that in 2020. I was in real estate photography. I've been a musician for most of my adult life. In a sort of a professional way, pursuing that as a career. And last year, I was just thinking, man, what's the next move for me? And I kind of thought about digital marketing, and then Aaron, my brother Aaron, approached me, and we just kind of took it and ran with it towards the end of 2020, and we've kind of just haven't looked back.
Yeah, nice. Does that stack up, Aaron? Is that how it happened?
Absolutely. It was kind of to add on to what Josh was saying, it was more of a survival thing for me. I was actually in real estate school. I was finishing up my license, and that's something that I'm still very much involved in, but kind of put it on the back burner to build this agency with my brother. And everybody kind of took it on the nose last year with what happened, and I thought, if I'm going to do this with someone, I need to do it with someone that I can trust and someone that is willing to put in the time and the effort that it's going to take to build this thing the right way. And that happened to be my brother. And I texted him. It was a spur of the moment thing. Like he said, he was pursuing his music career. I really thought that he was going to say no. And he surprised me right away. He responded and he said yes. And kind of just started unfolding from there.
Mm-hmm. So it's pretty disparate kind of backgrounds coming into a digital agency, sort of real estate, training in real estate, coming from musicianship, and obviously being based around Nashville is a pretty good place. That makes a lot of sense now that why you're based out near Nashville. So how did you sort of bring that experience into the agency? Had you toyed with marketing and digital before? Was this your sort of first foray into the space? And once you decided and started, how did you start to build out that skill set, if that was something that you did or didn't have sort of coming into it?
Yeah, great question. Well, Aaron has been great at social media for like as long as I've known him. He's just kind of a natural. And there's a lot of elements to digital marketing, but I do think that social media is pretty key. It's the learning curve for social media is not huge, but kind of being really good at it, I don't know, I feel like that's almost like kind of a natural thing, and just having a natural knack for what people are going to engage with and how you can kind of get engagement on social media. So Aaron was really good at that. I, of course, being in music, I've always been around media. I've always kind of had that in my life in some way. I was doing real estate photography editing for almost the entire year of 2020. So that kind of gave me an introduction into like really professional content. I work on some really, really expensive houses in the Middle Tennessee area, and that kind of gave me an eye for editing, and it gave me an eye for what people pay for in terms of content and kind of what the standard is, and yeah, so that's, and we have a lot of other things in our background, but that was kind of our immediate background, just preceding 2021.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It's an interesting skill set to bring, that sort of luxury real estate kind of media production side of things. So is that something that you've now carried through? You sort of have the social media aspect, the content production, lead gen. There's a bit of everything going on there. But is that, do you guys kind of segment that work out between you? So does Aaron do the social? Josh, you do the content, or is it kind of emerged in terms of roles within the agency?
Yeah, Aaron, you want to take that?
Totally. Chris, awesome question. Josh and I presently just split everything kind of as we see fit. We both manage our social media clients together. So content creation, posting, scheduled posting, all of that we kind of do together, and then we just tag team it and split it down the middle, really. And so in terms of fulfillment, my brother and I are just towing the line 50-50 right now until we get to a point where we feel like we can bring, some other members in to help with that workload.
Yeah. So what's your go-to in terms of execution and strategy? Are you focused on the organic side of content? Are you looking at paid? Are you doing a bit of both? Is it purely Facebook? Is it Insta? Is it Google? Where are you kind of operating at the most? If you had to if there was one thing that you're doing sort of over and above the rest, where's your key focus when you get a client in? Where are you sort of finding and getting the best results for them?
We do a lot on Instagram. I feel like Instagram's still kind of the king in social media. I mean, Facebook, I feel like Facebook is great for certain niches, and it's probably really kind of the benchmark for outreach or for like paid media. A lot of people use Facebook for that. Yeah, I mean, we kind of are all over Instagram. That's a big part of our operation. And yeah, I think we're really new. So we're kind of finding like what's working, what we want to lean into. Organic is great, like just creating organic content. That's a big thing. We do want to do good content. That's another big thing. I feel like, from what we've seen, it's kind of an amalgamation of everything that really gets results. It kind of, using as many strategies as is necessary to get the results that you're looking for your client. So yeah, like sort of as we scale, that's probably going to be our approach, is just sort of taking a look at what the client needs, kind of reverse engineering it, and then using whatever we have to use on the internet to get them the results that they're looking for.
Yeah. That's a nice omni-channel kind of integrated approach, customer-centric.
Yep.
So like what you're saying, work out what they actually need first, and then go, right, how are we going to deliver that result through a channel, through a medium, rather than just going, hey, we're really great at Facebook, so you should definitely do Facebook. Let's actually start strategically and go, what's actually going to be a win for the client, and then start to build out, right, Instagram, you're targeting millennials, you're an e-com business, you've got beautiful, fashion. Let's drop that into Instagram because that's going to be a great platform for it. It's a sensible way to approach. And in terms of client base, you're sort of working in that mid sort of SME, sort of small to medium business size, both brick and mortar and e-com. Is that a transition that you're seeing where you've got on the brick and mortar high street retail shops that are now needing to push into e-com just to essentially to survive and begin thriving in what is now a mandatorily digital world?
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's going online, and I don't know if I'm 100% right in this, but I feel like the world is going to be predominantly online over the next 5 to 10 years and kind of beyond. I think so much of what, the three of us in this podcast right now, we grew up with not everything being online. And you know, it's slowly kind of all gone online. And then now with 2020, I mean, man, everything's going online. I feel like if you don't have, and we've actually had clients since we started doing this that, you know, for better or for worse, maybe are not totally prepared to kind of make that jump. And we've had to move on from some of those clients because it's like, that really is that's the way to go right now. You know, like you said, if you want to survive.
Well, I appreciate you dropping me into your age category. That was a nice touch. I did grow up pre Nintendo, pre Super NES, and definitely pre-internet. Yeah, so it's definitely. I mean, this stuff's been burning for 20 odd years. I mean, I started my agency in 2002, and that was sort of internet was around. It was pre-Facebook, but I mean, digital. When we started, the world was very much still traditional.
Yeah. Radio,
TV, billboards, outdoor, and digital was like a little add-on down the bottom. Whereas now it's flipped completely, and digital. Everything is very much digital first now. And as you're saying, particularly in the last 18 months, that's anyone that was lagging behind, those laggards have just had to pick up because that's survival. It's generally just survival for business to have a really decent online presence. So in terms of what types of businesses are you servicing? Is there a particular is it retail specifically? Is it a type of retail? Is it restaurants, cafes, mortgage broking? Is it kind of anything and everything? Or do you have a kind of a niche that you prefer to work with or tend to work best with?
Josh, I can take this one.
Yeah,
Chris, off the top, I think of one of our clients, Swift Lawn and Land. Our good friend David Swift has a landscaping company that he's built here in Middle Tennessee since 2013. And we do all of the content creation for him, for his Instagram and Facebook. So that's a good example of a brick and mortar and a niche that Josh and I are kind of exploring because we feel like the value that we're bringing for David on his socials is awesome, but we also have the ability to upsell those clients to a lead gen or a SaaS product. So that's kind of Josh and I's approach with any client is, can we take them through our tiers of our business model so that we can get them to a place where we're providing tremendous value, but we also have executed what our model is going to be. So social media, lead gen, and then up to SaaS. And there's tons of reasons behind all that. But that's a good example of a brick and mortar. And then, I think that's the best example that we have. In terms of niches, though, right now, being that we're so new, Josh and I are kind of still developing that. But we know that we will have to niche down to a lot of different things, to very specific target, groups. So that's something we actually were talking about today.
I've mentioned this quite a bit on the show, actually, that when you're starting and you're kind of in that launch phase, I think it is very important to kind of be a bit divergent and try a bunch of different stuff and do some landscaping, do some finance, do some insurance, do a bit of brick and mortar, do a bit of e-com, and then so on the niche side, kind of work out who do you love to work with, number one, and then number two, who can you actually serve the best. Maybe it's real estate, right? You got both have a bit of a real estate thing going. So maybe you might go, well, real estate, we understand those pain points really well, right? We understand the challenges of a real estate agent. So I can tap into that and I can really understand how to sell and how to market for that industry. So I think that is important that you kind of play around a bit. As you're starting, it gives you a bit of scope to try different things. And then on the service side as well, maybe it's a bit of Instagram, it's a bit of social, it's a bit of LinkedIn, it's a bit of whatever the solution is, right? Yep. To kind of go, right now we know it's SEO for real estate brokers. That's where we get our best results. And then you kind of converge and you go, that is the thing that we're going to focus on. And you get that kind of hyper niching effect. So that's something that I definitely see working well for agencies that are in that sort of launch to grow phase, is get in, try a bunch of stuff, and then eventually get very, very niche down. So I think that's a sensible approach that you're talking about there, is play around for a while, get curious about a bunch of different stuff. And then once you see, number one, what you love, like what resonates with you, what type of client do you just love to work with?
Yes.
That's really important. And then combine that with who can I actually get really good results for?
Yeah.
And get those two things right. That's the foundations for a solid agency business.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, my brother and I, we talk about, finding the right clients, and there has to be some synergy there. I mean, we want to add value to people and help them with their businesses. And after last year, that's a major issue for a lot of folks. Not to go off script here, but I got a massage the other day, and the massage therapist, he was asking me about what I do. And so I started telling him about it, and he was like, well, I was getting ready to delete my Facebook and I don't even have an Instagram. And I was like, dude, do the opposite. Keep your Facebook, market yourself off of there, get an Instagram, get yourself out there, because people want to engage with you, the therapist. And if they don't know you exist, and that's how a lot of people find you these days, is just going and looking up one of your platforms, they're not going to find you. So that was like a very surface level suggestion to him. It could go so much deeper in terms of marketing him, but I said that to him. He seemed very happy, and I went about my business. But that was like a real world, just a quick example of someone who's hit by this reality. Oh my gosh, I need to get online. I need to figure this out, and was headed in the other direction.
It's so, I always find it's really interesting because we are so immersed in social, and we're advertisers and marketers, and we're on these platforms every day. And because of that, our network is the same people that are always on and always talking about social. It's easy to just assume that everybody has this stuff set up. Like you said, you go out into the real world and you have a chat with someone and they go, I've got a business, but I'm not on social media. It's like, it's 2021, bro. Like, what's going on? You need to get going. But that's also an amazing way just to start to grow business, right? That network is having these authentic conversations with people and just going, hey, look, this is what I do. Here's some tips. And the next time you chat to that guy, he might go, hey, Aaron, you know what? I turned my Instagram back on. I've got a few likes on, could you help me grow it? So you never know where these conversations and coming from that place of kind of genuine care and compassion and understanding can go super important when you're starting out in a business as well and getting launched, is to have those conversations and just get out there and put yourself out and help people. Help them by helping them, right? Even if there's no money in it for you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of marketing yourselves, what are you guys focusing on in terms of, other than having conversations with your massage therapists? How else are you promoting yourselves through social? Are you doing organic? Are you looking at paid? What do you think's sort of what are you working on now to sort of start to build a bit of traction around Holsky and the brand?
It's been a lot of word of mouth networking. Aaron and I both have a lot of kind of friends and family that are connected in marketing and business in general. We've pretty much looked at every avenue, I would say, except for paid right now. We haven't started doing any kind of paid campaigns. It seems likely that when we roll out kind of a SaaS campaign, which we're hoping to do as soon as possible, SaaS will probably incorporate a lot of paid elements, and just to kind of give it ideally a really professional kind of machine, with landing pages and funnels and everything like that. Just so that, we can kind of onboard people through that. But you can't, in my opinion, I don't think you can really beat word of mouth and just networking and knowing people and talking to people kind of organically. Even as funny as that is to say, as being in a digital marketing agency, but I mean, I think it still works. Just trying to kind of as organically as possible. And I even think that emulating organic human connection digitally has, in my opinion, kind of the highest success probability. Because people want to connect with people. They don't want to feel like they're talking to a robot. They don't want to feel like they're being advertised to by a robot. They want to feel like they're just talking to a friend or talking to a colleague or whatever. So trying to kind of like that. But as far as outreach as an agency, it's mostly been kind of word of mouth networking. My brother kind of has a knack for that, just kind of connecting with people. We connected with somebody today. It was a huge connection, really exciting. So yeah, probably the only thing we haven't really leaned into yet is paid, but we will certainly look at that avenue.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's I think a really underrated thing is tapping into network, and exactly like you're saying, having human connections with people. If you already know people and you've already got that know, like, and trust with someone, it's really, again, in that launch phase, critical. You tap into your network. You never know who, friend of a dad or dad of a friend or friend of a friend who has a business who needs a website or needs some Instagram presence. Really, really undervalued way to tap in. Between that and sort of partnerships, so finding other businesses that kind of top and tail where you guys sit, that can be another way. If you guys were doing SEO, to find some web dev agencies, right, and you can sort of tap on from, right, you guys specialize in web dev, we do the SEO, let's partner up. So partnerships and network for me is two really key places, particularly at that launch phase, to get that scale without, as you said, having to invest in paid ads. But also, it's really good for validation, right?
Yeah.
Sort of that organic approach is having conversations with people and go, hey, look, you run this you run a hardware store. How can we help? Right? What's going to work for you? What are your pain points? What are your challenges? What would you want from marketing? And just having those conversations with people, you'd be surprised. They will tell you what they want. And then when you go and build that and deliver it, guess what? They're going to buy it, rather than making the assumption, right? Assuming people are going to want a 75-step marketing funnel build out and automations and all this stuff, and building that for 6 months and then going, hey, here's this thing, and people going, yeah, I don't actually want that.
Right. Hey, we just want Instagram, it's like
so that validation's a really important part. But if you can validate through organic testing, different messages, all that kind of stuff, and just asking people what they want, great way to work out what to actually give people, right?
Absolutely.
That's really key.
Mm-hmm. So what's the big vision for you guys? What's the 3-year, 5-year, 10-year plan? Are you in this for the long haul? Is build up and sell it one day? You just enjoy it? You're obviously kind of at the start of the journey, but do you have a vision of where this thing might be taking you?
Aaron, you want to take it?
Great questions, dude. I think you should answer this one, Josh. I know this is one that Josh loves to just share. So
well, to be honest with you, Chris, we started this for our families. We started this, just because of what's going on in the world right now, and we wanted a way to kind of build something that can kind of take care of us, take care of people that we care about in terms of other business owners, clients, and our families. So that's kind of I would say that's the foundation of what we're doing, is family, and just being able to build something that can provide empowerment for other people, whether that's a client or whatever the case may be. So that's kind of the foundation. But as far as like business, kind of the business vision, definitely we want to kind of move away from fulfillment. So much of what you do in digital marketing requires fulfillment, whether it's content creation, copy, building funnels, building, automating, all that kind of stuff. That's all fulfillment. Running socials, and that's great, and it's important to be able to do that. And I think that we're learning that, and having those skill sets is invaluable, and that's definitely really, really key. But I think SaaS is opening a way to kind of move away from that, and there are other ways to do that as well. But yeah, just kind of having a vision for sort of moving away from fulfillment, kind of building something that maybe doesn't require us to actually perform tasks. And then as we scale to that, definitely the big picture is, I know this is like a huge vision, but the big picture is definitely venture capital, and kind of getting into that world. And hopefully we get there sooner than later, but that's definitely something that's going to require a lot of energy, time, commitment, and obviously resources to get to that point. But as far as like maybe 5+ year would be like kind of getting out of fulfillment, moving towards venture capital. But I'd say over the next probably year, 12 months, we're gonna have to just get really good at what we do, and it will be probably heavily fulfillment based. Maybe hiring people, scaling, setting up standard stuff, standard things that people can do so we can scale. And we just today, this is a really big deal. We just today got invited into kind of a consulting thing with a friend of ours, Josh Kiabasi, who started I guess it's an agency consulting program, and he's going to be consulting us and just kind of looking at our pain points, looking at what we do well, where we need to grow, and giving us kind of sort of an intensive look at our business, and that's very exciting. He actually started a really, really successful agency with a guy here in town called Welling Media, and that agency has done really great things. And Josh Kibasi was a big part of that, and he's going to be helping us look at things. But I guess that's a lot, but that's the vision.
Love it, man. Big vision. You're certainly doing all the right things. Having that big vision is the thing it's going to give you that extra motivation on the days that just suck a bit, and you got to grit it up and get out and just get at it and hustle a bit on those days. That big vision of, well, I'm doing this today because this is for my family, this is for my kids, and that is something I'm building legacy. I'm getting towards my bigger vision, my purpose, my passion. All that stuff is super important to get set up front, because this is not an easy journey, right? Built as you're finding out already, building an agency, once you start to get into that more fulfillment, building team, scaling, all of that stuff, it's an amazing journey, but it can be tough, and there's going to be those days that you need to grit it up and you need to be at your best even when you're at your worst. And having that big vision gives you that kind of free motivational energy to get at it still when you face those tough days. But also you're doing the right things and having that mentorship as well. And so I think, chatting to Aaron beforehand, it's great to have that, someone to come in and kind of give you the guide rails, right? And sort of say, look, don't go over here. This is kind of, there be dragons over here. Focus on this. Go down this alley, right? Avoid doing this. Here's the stuff you should focus on where you're at. That's really important, because there's so much you could be doing, and it's really important to understand what you actually should be doing that's going to send your business forward. So now you guys are doing all the right things. It's going to be an exciting journey for you. I'm looking forward to hearing more about it.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. If people want to connect with you guys, a couple of places up on screen, but for those that are listening at home, where's the best place for them to come and find?
I'd say probably our Instagram is where we're most active. So just Instagram.com/Holsky Media, or just look us up by our handle. That's probably where we'd be the most responsive, but we do check all of that. So any of those places would be great.
Awesome. And as always, I'll drop all those links in the show notes so you folks at home can pound one of those links and go connect with the guys. Hey, thanks for coming by, guys. Been a really, really, really interesting show. Love seeing young fellas getting at it and building good things and doing it for good reasons. So I wish you all the best in your journey, and thanks for coming by and sharing your story with us.
Thanks. Hopefully we can check back in with the progress report, like, I don't know, 6 months or something.
Yeah, awesome, man. Sounds good. We'll pin it in the diary and come and see how many millions you're doing by that time. Be good to check in with you.
Let's go.
Thanks so much, Chris. And hey, maybe we'll visit Australia.
Yeah, and vice versa. One of these days, the world will open back up again. We'll be able to come and visit the opposite side of the world again.
Dude, so,
that'd be forward to it.
You got a place to come and hang out when you head down to Melbourne, and definitely love to come and check out Nashville and the quieter towns of Tennessee one day.
You got us all around my fire anytime, Chris.
Sounds a plan. Sounds amazing. Thank you so much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Amazing to be connected. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in at home. This has been a super interesting understanding how this stuff starts, what the start of a journey looks like, and how exciting it can be. So thanks, guys, for swinging by. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.
Cheers.